everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lorraine Rose, and if you're new here, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It means so much. My husband and I have been tent camping for 10 years now, and so I thought this would be a good time to give you guys some different meal prep ideas for your next tent camping trip. So we do go for 2 weeks at a time, but I'm just going to do a week's worth of meal prep for you guys. So Monday through Saturday around lunchtime. Those are the meals that I'm going to do for you guys, and I hope this helps you. I hope I'm able to give you some good tips along the way as well. So without further ado, let's just get right into it.
For Monday's meal, we are having chicken salad. I went ahead and put it in these disposable containers so we can just toss them when we are done, and I don't have to worry about doing any dishes that first night we're camping. We are driving to our campsite Monday morning, and after we set up, I'm not going to want to cook, so I always make something super easy for our first day, this meal being chicken salad. I have some leftovers here, so I will go ahead and put them in the Ziploc bag that you see, and I'll put them in the freezer to have when we get back. And I also used a rotisserie chicken for the chicken salad, so with the leftover chicken bones, I am making homemade bone broth. I just put the chicken bones in this pot, covered them with water, added 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 cut up onion, a few celery sticks, as well as a few carrot sticks, and I just let it simmer for 24 hours, and I will use this in another recipe I'm making that y'all will see shortly. And then I made 2 brownie pies, 1 to bring with us and 1 to freeze to have when we get back. And what I do with Monday's meal is I put it in a small travel size cooler bag, and when we are packing our food up Monday before we leave, instead of putting the chicken salad in our big cooler, I leave it in the travel size cooler bag and put it in this labeled grocery bag along with chips, napkins, and our brownie pie. So when we are done setting up our campsite, we don't have to rummage through our large cooler to find our meal. It's all right here. This makes it so easy because after you have set up your site, you're going to be so tired. So the more prep you can do ahead of time, the easier it will be on you when you're setting up your site. Now, before I move on to Tuesday's meals, I want to show you a few things. The first thing is what I did with the rest of the grapes that I bought for the chicken salad. I just went ahead and I got these paper towels damp, and I placed them in this Ziploc bag sandwiched over the grapes for us to have for a snack while we camp. And here's just another tip. As I make my food for our camping trip, I go ahead and I put a check mark right next to the food item after I've made it. And after I store it in the fridge or freezer, I go ahead to the left of my list here and I do a fridge packing list. That way I know what to grab out of the fridge when we are filling up our cooler. Okay, so here is Tuesday's food. Let me just explain to you what I've got going on here. For breakfast Tuesday and Wednesday, we are having bulletproof coffee. For this, we purchased this big bag of coffee from Costco that we pre-ground there with their large coffee grinder for our espresso that we're going to be making. And I went ahead and clipped this coffee scoop to it. That way we have something to scoop our coffee out with, but it also doubles as a clip for our coffee bag. And then I went ahead and measured out how much MCT oil I will need while we camp and set it in this little basket with a proper measuring spoon, and I will simply store this in my food pantry at our campsite. And then we have our stevia here, and then I went ahead and measured out enough collagen as well in this container here to add to our coffee. And then I also measured out our butter for our coffee, so when we go to make it in the morning, I don't have to fuss with pulling butter out of the cooler. I can just grab this container and plop the butter in our cups. So that is our breakfast for Tuesday and Wednesday. And then for lunch, I am doing smoothies. So I went ahead and I wrote out my smoothie recipe on this bag with all of the ingredients that I will need for the smoothie inside the bag. I am also going to need kale for my smoothie, so I'm going to just toss this big bag of kale in the freezer. That way when I go to make my smoothie, everything is in one place. And with my smoothie, I'm keeping it simple and classic with a grilled cheese. So basically how I do my grilled cheese is I simply put mayo on the outside of each side of the sandwich with some shredded cheese, and I fry it in the pan like that. You don't need any butter since you have the mayo, and it's so good, you guys. So I'm gonna have that with my smoothie. And for my husband's lunch, he will be enjoying some homemade coleslaw. I went ahead and put a measuring spoon in the bag already as well, so he, has something to scoop the coleslaw out with. And with his coleslaw, he will have two brats over the fire with buns and with grapes, with pickles and chips. And then the extra cabbage that I had, I'm just going to go ahead and freeze, and I'm going to make a soup with it later on when we get back. That's just a little tip. If you have extra cabbage, you can just freeze it and use it in another recipe later on. And then for dinner, I am making white chicken chili over the campfire. What I do is I put all the ingredients in this labeled bag right here. I went ahead and put all of the spices I need for this recipe in this little jar as well, so I don't have to bring a ton of spices with me because spices just end up taking up so much extra space. The chicken for this recipe, I'm just going to freeze so it stays good for a while and also helps keep the cooler cool for longer. And we also have this cilantro that we are going to sprinkle on top of the chili, so I just pre-washed and chopped it and put it in this jar with a damp paper towel on top to keep the herbs fresher longer, and this way they won't get smashed in the cooler. And to go along with the chili, I'm making cast iron cornbread, so I pre-measured all of my ingredients for this recipe here in this bag. So this is all of our food for Tuesday. Now let's move on to Wednesday's meal. For Wednesday's meal, we are having the same breakfast and lunch as Tuesday, but for dinner we will be having burgers and sweet potatoes. So I went ahead and I patted the burgers out into patties and seasoned them and just wrapped them in plastic wrap and placed our buns with them inside this Ziploc bag. And I'm going to just freeze this entire bag to, like I said before, the other meal, just help this meal to stay better for longer in the cooler and also help keep the cooler colder for longer as well. And this is the jalapeno cream cheese spread I made for us to spread on top of the burgers when they are done on the grill. And then I added these sweet potatoes to this Ziploc bag that we are going to bake over the fire, and I went ahead and cut up some butter as well to go inside the sweet potatoes when they are cooked through, along with my pecan brown sugar and cinnamon mix here to put in our sweet potatoes as well. So this is our dinner for Wednesday. There you go. Let's move on to Thursday's meals. Let me show you our breakfast for Thursday through Saturday. We are doing omelets and parfaits. So I went ahead and I cracked all of the eggs we will need for those 3 mornings. I blended them lightly with my hand mixer and simply placed them in this mason jar that we can easily pour out into our pan for our omelets. And to go inside our omelets, we are frying bacon. So this package of bacon I will just freeze. And then I prepped our green onions by washing them and chopping them to make it easy just to throw into our omelets. And I also grated some cheddar cheese in this bag as well to throw into our omelets. And to go with our omelets, I am layering stevia mixed into cottage cheese with some cut up pears along with some of this homemade granola I just made. And this granola made extra, so I'm just storing it in this container in our fridge to have as cereal when we get back home. So that is our breakfast Thursday. We will be having the same lunch as Thursday that we had Tuesday and Wednesday, and we are actually eating out dinner on Thursday. So that is all of the food for Thursday. Now let's move on to Friday. Friday, we are having the same breakfast that we had Thursday as well as the same lunches. So now all I have to prep is our dinner. For dinner, we are going to do beef stew. So I basically put all of the ingredients for the beef stew in this Ziploc bag here. For all of my pre-made meals, I also make sure to chop everything ahead of time as well. So all the meals in my bags here, like all the veggies, are pre-chopped and pre-washed and ready to just throw in my pan or my crock pot. Now these diced tomatoes and potatoes will go into the beef stew as well. And here's the bone broth that I made earlier that I will be putting into my beef stew recipe. This jar I'm going to let it cool off completely, and then I'm going to place it in my freezer to, like I said, help keep our cooler colder for longer. But make sure you have a good amount of headspace in your jar so it doesn't bust from the pressure when it's freezing. And I'm also going to freeze our meat for our beef stew. And this we will also eat as leftovers for our Saturday lunch before we head home. Here's just an overview of all of our refrigerated items that we are bringing with us for an entire week of tent camping. And then next, you want to go ahead and clean out and organize your fridge so you can place all of your cooler items all together in one place in your fridge. And my drawers are the food items we're leaving at home, and they should stay good while we are gone for a week. And here is all of the food we are bringing on this middle shelf, minus the big jar of granola back there. But all of this stuff we will be packing in the cooler, along with these items on this bottom shelf here as well. And I also went ahead and cleaned out and organized our freezer. And on the right side of our freezer here are all of the items we are packing in our cooler as well. But just so I don't forget anything at all, I made sure to type up a list of all of the food items we need, as well as the kitchen tools we will need to cook and prep those items with while we are camping. And I went ahead and taped it to our fridge so I can check my items off as I'm loading up our cooler. And then I went ahead and cleaned up our entire kitchen. After 2 days of cooking and meal prep, it got pretty dirty. And then I also went ahead and set out this smaller cooler that I will be putting in our larger cooler and storing our cold meats in it. So that way, every time we open up our cooler, our cold meats aren't losing any insulation and they are all separate from our other items in our cooler. And I also set out this large black bag that I will be packing all of our kitchen tools in. And then I set out our dry goods in these grocery bags as well. And that is everything. We are done, y'all.
Okay, you guys, so that is the end of the video. I hope that you guys liked this video. I'm kind of doing a whole series on my channel about camping just because we go camping every year and we've been doing it for 10 years, and I just kind of wanted to give my tips to you guys out there that are watching my channel. And so I hope that this video is helpful. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know if you want more camping videos. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and until next time, I love you guys so much. Bye.